Kirith pressed his 3 siblings closer to the cold metal wall. His stomach hurt. It had hurt for so long now that he almost forgot what it felt like to be full. The bronze scales on his body, once shiny like his mother's favorite coins, were now dull and gray. Dust covered them. He couldn't remember the last time he had the energy to clean them properly. "I'm hungry," little Mira whispered. She was the youngest, only 8 years old in human counting. Her violet scales were falling off in patches. Kirith could see the raw pink skin underneath. "It made his heart ache, I know," he said softly. "Soon, we'll find something soon." That was a lie. They both knew it. But what else could he say? Sira, his sister with the green-tinted scales, was looking at the Zarathian food stall across the dirty street. Her orange eyes were fixed on the bins behind it. Vex, his brother, was already moving that way. At 10 years old, Vex was braver than he was smart. "Wait," Kirith hissed, but Vex ignored him. 3 months ago, everything was different. 3 months ago, Kirith had a mother who smelled like cinnamon smoke and a father whose laugh could shake the rafters. 3 months ago, he was learning to fly properly. 3 months ago, he was a dragon of House Skarzeth, a family with honor going back 3,000 years. Then came the mining accident. Kirith closed his eyes, but he could still see it. The explosion, the cave-in, the rescue teams that came too late, his mother's crushed wings. His father's last words, whispered with blood on his lips. "Survive, little flame. Pride means nothing if you're dead." The elders came after the funeral. Elder Voshtar, with his black scales and cold golden eyes, stood in their home and looked at the 4 hatchlings like they were garbage. "The investigation shows negligence," he said. "Your father failed to check the support structures. Your mother failed to stop him. They brought shame to all dragonkind." "That's not true," Kirith had shouted. He was 12, nearly a teenager, and he knew his father. His father was careful. His father checked everything twice, but Elder Voshtar didn't care. "The decision is made. House Skarzeth is dissolved. You 4 are clanless. No family will take you in. You carry the stain of failure." Just like that, they had nothing. The house was claimed by the clan. Their father's savings were seized to pay for damages. They were thrown out into the Viridian outpost with nothing but the clothes they wore. Kirith learned quickly that the galaxy was not kind to dragon orphans. He went to other dragon families begging for work, for shelter, for anything. They all said the same thing. "We cannot help those marked by shame. It would contaminate our honor." He tried other species too. The Zarathians laughed at him. Mighty dragons brought low. How amusing! The Zentari administrators quoted regulations. No child labor permits available. Come back when you're adults. The Krell simply looked through him like he didn't exist. Dragons were supposed to be proud, strong, better than everyone else. For thousands of years they had ruled themselves with strict codes of honor. Now Kirith understood the price of that pride. When you fell, no one caught you. They just walked past and pretended not to see. A crash brought him back to the present. Vex had knocked over a trash container. The Zarathian vendor, a massive creature with 4 arms and too many teeth, grabbed Vex by the wing. Thieving dragon trash. The vendor roared. Kirith ran. He didn't think. Sira was faster, already there, trying to pull Vex free. The vendor's fist came down hard. Sira cried out and fell. Mira was screaming, then someone else was there, a human. Kirith had seen humans before, but not many came to Viridian Outpost. This one was tall, with dark skin and strange blue eyes. He moved between the vendor and Vex. "Let the kid go," the human said. His voice was calm, but Kirith heard the steel underneath. "This is not your concern, human," the vendor snarled. "I'm making it my concern." The vendor knew better than to fight a human. Everyone knew humans were crazy. They came from a death world where everything tried to kill them. They didn't know when to back down. The vendor dropped Vex and stomped back to his stall, muttering curses. The human looked at them. Those blue eyes moved from one hatchling to another. Kirith saw something there he hadn't seen in 3 months. Concern. Real concern. Not pity, not disgust, just worry. "You kids okay?" the human asked. Kirith grabbed his siblings and pulled them away. "We're fine. We don't need help." But his voice cracked. Sira was limping. Vex's wing hung at a wrong angle. Mira was crying into his chest. They were not fine. They were dying slowly, and everyone could see it. The human didn't follow them. He just watched as they disappeared into the maze of alleys that they called home now. Their home was a gap between 2 buildings, barely wide enough for them to lie down. Kareth had found some old plastic sheets to keep the rain out. That was all they had. That night, Vex cried from his broken wing. Kareth held him and sang the old songs their mother used to sing. His voice was rough, not beautiful like hers, but it helped a little. Kareth? Mira's small voice came from the darkness. Are we going to die? He wanted to say no. He wanted to promise her that everything would be okay. But his father's last lesson was about truth. I don't know, little star, he said quietly, but I promise I'll try to keep us alive. That's all I can promise. Syra was quiet, but he felt her shaking. She was scared too. They all were. Kareth thought about his father's words. Survive. Survive at any cost. But how? They were too young to work, too weak to steal successfully, too proud to beg. No, that last part wasn't true anymore. Kareth had begged. He had gotten on his knees and pleaded with the dragons, with the other species, with anyone who would listen. His pride was already broken, shattered like his father's wings in that cave-in. But if he had no pride left, what did he have? He looked at his 3 siblings huddled in the cold darkness. He had them. That was what he had left. That was what mattered. Through the gap in the plastic sheets, he could see the market. Late-night vendors were closing up. And there, standing in the shadows near a streetlight, was the human. Those blue eyes were looking their way. Kareth shivered. Not from fear. From something else. Something he couldn't name yet. The human turned and walked away, disappearing into the night crowds. But Kareth kept staring at the spot where he had been. Those strange blue eyes stayed in his mind as he finally fell into an uneasy sleep. His siblings pressed against him for warmth they barely had left to share. Marcus Webb had seen a lot of things in his 36 years. He had fought in the border wars. He had pulled survivors from burning ships. He had watched good people die for stupid reasons. But something about those 4 dragon kids got under his skin and wouldn't let go. He stood in his small quarters on the salvage ship and looked at the data pad. He had been researching dragon biology for a week now. What he found made his stomach turn. Dragon hatchlings needed specific minerals, chromium, selenium, things found in meat, especially organ meat. Without it, their scales fell off. Their bones became brittle. Their wings stopped developing. If they didn't get proper nutrition before age 13, the damage was permanent. They would be crippled for life. Those kids in the alley were close to that deadline. The youngest one, the little purple-scaled girl, was already showing bad signs. You're doing it again, said Chen from the doorway. Dr. Sarah Chen was his ship's medic and his oldest friend. She knew him too well. Doing what? Marcus asked, not looking up. The thing where you get that look. That I'm going to adopt another stray look. They're not strays. They're kids. They're dragon kids. You know how dragons are. Proud. Stubborn. They'd rather starve than accept charity. Chen came in and sat on his bunk. Marcus, I know what you're thinking. But you can't save everyone. His jaw tightened. I can try. Chen was quiet for a moment. Then she said softly, This isn't about Emma. Emma, his daughter. Dead for 3 years from a disease that the doctors caught too late. She would have been 15 now. Same age as the oldest dragon kid. Maybe it is, Marcus said. Maybe that's okay. He had been leaving food near the alley where the hatchlings slept. Protein packs. Mineral supplements. Things that looked like they might have fallen from a transport cart by accident. Sometimes the food was gone in the morning. Sometimes it wasn't. He never knew if they took it or if some other desperate soul found it first. The Zentari station administrator, Kelvan, had stopped him yesterday. I see what you're doing, human. Don't. We have rules against encouraging vagrants. They're children. They're dragon spawn who failed to maintain their house honor. Natural selection at work. Kelvan's 3 eyes blinked in sequence. Your species has a reputation for dangerous empathy. Don't prove it right. Dangerous empathy. Marcus had heard that before. Humans were known across the galaxy as the species that couldn't stop helping things. They bonded with anything. They rescued everything. Other species found it disturbing. But Marcus had learned something in the war. Empathy wasn't weakness. It was what made humans survive when they should have died. On Earth, humans were not the strongest predator. They were not the fastest or the toughest. They survived because they worked together, because they cared for their sick and their young, because they didn't leave anyone behind. That night, Marcus was in the market late buying supplies for his ship. He heard shouting. He ran toward the sound and found the oldest dragon kid, Kyrith, facing off with a Zarathian vendor. The vendor had one of the other hatchlings by the arm. The green-scaled one. Caught stealing from my bins, the vendor yelled. We weren't stealing. We were just looking. Kyrith shouted back, but his voice was weak with hunger. The vendor raised his fist. Marcus moved without thinking. He grabbed the vendor's arm. Let the kid go, Marcus said. The vendor was bigger, but he hesitated. Humans had a reputation. They were pack animals. They were vengeful. They didn't understand proportional response. Hit one human and 3 more would come back for you. Fine, the vendor spat, shoving the dragon hatchling away. But next time I call security. The dragon kids ran. Marcus watched them go. The oldest one looking back once with those orange eyes. There was pride there still, fighting with desperation and hate. The kid hated needing help. Marcus understood that too. He followed them at a distance, making sure they got back to their alley safely. Then he went back to his ship and couldn't sleep. He kept seeing the little purple one's eyes, dull and sunken. Emma's eyes had looked like that near the end. The next day he tried a different approach. He accidentally dropped a sealed container of food near where he knew they'd pass. High protein, high mineral rations. The good stuff. He walked away like he hadn't noticed. From a cafe across the street, he watched through the window. The oldest one, Kyrith, found the container, picked it up, looked around suspiciously, then looked right at the cafe window, right at Marcus. Their eyes met across the distance. For a moment, neither moved. Then Kyrith took the container and ran. It was a start. Marcus increased his accidents. A blanket fell off his cart. A medical kit somehow ended up in that alley. Each time, the items disappeared. Each time, he saw the dragon kids from a distance watching him watch them. Other species noticed. A Krell trader approached him at the docks. Why waste resources on failed dragons? Their own kind won't help them. Maybe that says more about their kind than about the kids, Marcus replied. The Krell made a clicking sound that might have been laughter. Humans. Always trying to fix things that aren't broken. Those kids are starving. That's broken in my book. They're dragons. They think they're better than everyone. Let them learn humility. Marcus felt anger rise in his chest. They're learning that honor means nothing when you're dying. That's not a lesson kids should learn. He walked away before he said something that would cause trouble. Humans were respected in the galaxy, but they were also watched carefully. Too emotional. Too unpredictable. Too ready to fight for things that other species thought were stupid. On the 7th day, things changed. Marcus was walking through the market when he heard a commotion. A crowd had gathered. He pushed through and saw the 4 dragon hatchlings surrounded by a large adult dragon. The dragon was massive, with black scales and silver edges. An elder by the look of him. Kyrith was standing in front of his siblings, trying to look brave. He looked tiny and pathetic next to the adult. You shame all dragons by living this way, the elder said. His voice boomed across the market. House Skarseth was dissolved for failure. You continue that failure by begging like animals. We're not begging, Kyrith said. His voice shook, but he stood firm. We're surviving. There is no honor in survival without dignity. The elder looked at the other 3 hatchlings. I am Drakmar, enforcer of dragon law. I offer you one chance. Come with me. Swear that your parents were failures who deserved their deaths. Accept servant status in a proper house. You'll have food and shelter. Marcus felt sick. Servant status meant slavery in all but name, and they wanted these kids to betray their parents' memory for it. No, Kyrith said. Drakmar's eyes narrowed. You refuse? My father was a good dragon. He wasn't a failure. I won't say he was. Then you choose to die in the gutters. Drakmar turned away. So be it. Your deaths will close the shame of Skarseth. Something in Marcus snapped. He stepped forward into the circle. That's enough, he said. Every eye turned to him. Drakmar looked at him like he was an insect. This is dragon business, human. You have no place here. I'm making a place. Marcus stood between Drakmar and the hatchlings. His heart was pounding, but his voice stayed steady. You're abandoning kids because of some ancient honor code. That's not honor. That's cruelty. Drakmar's laugh was cold. Humans, always thinking their soft hearts make them righteous. This is why your species will never rule the galaxy. You coddle weakness. We don't want to rule anything, Marcus said. We just want to help. And these kids need help. They are not your concern. I'm making them my concern, the crowd murmured. This was unprecedented. A human challenging dragon law. Drakmar stepped closer, trying to intimidate him with size. Marcus didn't back down. You would take them? Drakmar asked. You would soil your own honor by association with failures. On Earth, we judge a society by how it treats its most vulnerable, Marcus said. By that standard, you failed. Not those kids, you. Drakmar's expression was ice. Then take them, human. Take the broken hatchlings and see how far your sympathy carries you. When they turn on you with dragon pride and dragon fire, they will never accept you. They will never thank you. Because deep down they will always think they are better than you. Marcus looked at Kyrith. The kid was staring at him with those orange eyes, frightened, proud, desperate, hoping. I'll take that chance, Marcus said. Kyrith stood frozen as the human spoke those words. I'll take that chance. Everything in him screamed to refuse. He was a dragon. Dragons didn't need help from lesser species. Dragons were proud, strong, independent. That was what Elder Voshitar had always taught. That was what every dragon learned from hatching. But Mira's hand in his was so cold, so weak. Her scales were falling off faster now. This morning, he had found 3 more on the ground where she slept. Soon she would have no scales at all. Soon her wings would never grow right. Soon she would be crippled forever. His father's voice echoed in his memory. Survive, little flame. Pride means nothing if you're dead. Drakmar, the black-scaled enforcer, looked at them with disgust. You have made your choice. You are no longer dragons in the eyes of our people. You are something else now. Something lesser. He spread his massive wings. When you beg to return, and you will, we will not hear you. He took off, the wind from his wings knocking Kyrith back a step. The crowd dispersed, muttering. Kyrith heard the words. Shame. Disgrace. Serving a human now. The human Marcus turned to face them. Up close, his blue eyes were even stranger. Kyrith had never seen that color before. Earth eyes, he remembered. Earth was a death world. A place where everything tried to kill you. How did humans survive there with such soft skin and no claws and no wings? My ship isn't far, Marcus said gently. Can you walk? Kyrith wanted to say yes with pride. But Vex's wing was still broken from days ago. Sira was limping from the vendor's beating. Mira could barely stand. Yes, Kyrith lied. Marcus looked at him for a long moment. Then he did something unexpected. He knelt down, making himself lower than Kyrith. Equal height. Not looking down at them. It's okay to need help, Marcus said quietly. It doesn't make you weak. It makes you smart enough to accept it. Those words hit Kyrith harder than any fist. No dragon had ever said that, ever. Needing help was weakness, always, but this human said it like it was normal. Like it was okay. Mira can't walk far, Kyrith admitted, the words bitter in his mouth. I can carry her, if that's okay with you. The human asked permission. Asked, like Kyrith still had authority over his siblings, like he was still their protector even though he had failed to protect them. Kyrith nodded, not trusting his voice. Marcus picked up Mira like she weighed nothing. She was so light now, all bone and loose skin. She buried her face in Marcus's shoulder, too tired to be proud. The walk to the ship felt eternal. Other species watched them pass. Kyrith heard the whispers, the laughter. Dragons reduced to following a human, dragons accepting charity. The shame burned worse than hunger. But Mira's breathing was easier in Marcus's arms. That mattered more. The ship was called the Wayward Sun. It was a salvage vessel, old but well-maintained. Marcus led them inside through narrow corridors that smelled like oil and recycled air. Clean air, though. Better than the alley. Another human met them in the med bay, a woman with dark hair and kind eyes. I'm Dr. Chen, she said. Let's take a look at you all. She examined them one by one. Kyrith watched her face carefully for signs of disgust or pity. He saw neither. Just professional concern. When she got to Mira, her expression tightened. How long has she been like this? Dr. Chen asked. 3 months, Kyrith said. Since our parents died, Dr. Chen looked at Marcus. Something passed between them. Understanding. The doctor turned to Kyrith. She's severely malnourished. Another week, maybe 2, and the damage would be permanent. Her wing development has already been affected. The words hit like stones. Another week. They had been that close to losing Mira forever. Can you fix it? Syra asked, speaking for the first time. Her voice was hoarse. I can try, Dr. Chen said. But it will take time. And you all need proper food, rest, and medicine. She started treatment immediately. Injections of nutrients. Salves for their damaged scales, bandages for their wounds. Kyrith flinched at every touch, expecting pain. But Dr. Chen's hands were gentle, efficient. She had done this before. How much? Kyrith asked when she finished with Mira. Dr. Chen looked confused. How much what? How much do we owe you? For the medicine. The treatment. We don't have money, but we can work. Once we're better, we can— Stop, Marcus said. He was leaning against the wall, arms crossed. You don't owe us anything. That's not how it works. Everything has a price, not this. Not with us. Marcus's blue eyes met his. On Earth, we have a lot of sayings about helping people. One of them is, do unto others as you'd want them to do unto you. It means you help because it's right, not because you expect payment. Kyrith's mind couldn't process this. That's stupid. No one does that. Humans do, Dr. Chen said. She smiled, but it was sad. It's kind of our thing. We can't help it. We see someone hurting, we want to fix it. Why? Vex asked. He was the youngest boy, always asking questions. Why would you help strangers? Marcus was quiet for a moment. Then he said, because someone should have helped you sooner. Because you're kids and you deserve better, because— He paused. Because I had a daughter once. She died, and I couldn't save her, but maybe I can save you. The words hung in the air. Kyrith saw the pain in Marcus's eyes. Real pain, loss. This human knew what it felt like to lose family. I'm sorry, Kyrith said, surprising himself. Dragons didn't apologize to other species. Me too, kid. Me too. Marcus pushed off the wall. There are 4 empty crew quarters. Small but clean. You each get your own room. Bathroom is shared. Food is in the galley. Help yourselves whenever you're hungry. Rules are simple. No stealing, no fighting, respect the crew, and don't touch anything in the engine room unless Chen or I say so. Got it? 4 rooms. Their own rooms. Kyrith tried to remember the last time he had a room. The house he grew up in felt like a dream now. Got it, he whispered. Dr. Chen showed them to the quarters. The rooms were tiny, just a bed and a small storage unit. But the bed had clean sheets. Real sheets. And a pillow. Kyrith sat on his bed and felt the mattress give under his weight. Soft. Warm. He realized he was crying. He tried to stop, but the tears kept coming. Everything that had happened in 3 months crashed down on him. The fear, the hunger, the shame, the desperate hope that someone, anyone, would help. And now this human had a knock on the door. Marcus stood there holding a tray. Thought you might be hungry? Start with this, it's light, won't upset your stomach. Tomorrow we'll work up to bigger meals. The tray had soup, bread, and something that smelled amazing. Real food, cooked food. Kyrith's stomach cramped with hunger just looking at it. Thank you, he said, the words almost choking him. Marcus nodded and left. Kyrith ate slowly, forcing himself not to gulp it down. Each bite was heaven. Each bite was also a reminder of what he had lost. His pride, his identity as a dragon, everything that made him who he was. But his siblings were alive. Mira would heal. They had beds and food and safety. They had a chance. Maybe his father was right. Maybe pride really didn't matter if you were dead. That night, for the first time in 3 months, Kyrith slept without fear. No cold, no hunger. No wondering if tomorrow would be the day one of them didn't wake up. He dreamed of blue eyes watching him from the darkness. Not threatening, not judging, just watching over him, protecting him. When he woke up, it took him a moment to remember where he was. Then he saw the clean walls, the soft bed, heard the quiet hum of the ship's engines. It was real. The human had really taken them in. Kyrith got up and looked in the small mirror. His scales were still dull and patchy. His eyes were still hollow. But for the first time in months, he saw something else there. Hope. It was terrifying. The first week on the Wayward Sun was strange. Kyrith kept waiting for the trap. For Marcus to demand payment or service or something. Dragons didn't give without taking. The galaxy didn't work that way, but Marcus just gave. Food appeared 3 times a day. Medicine came on schedule. Dr. Chen checked on them every morning. The crew, a mix of 3 other humans, treated them like they belonged there. Kyrith watched everything, trying to understand. On the 3rd day, he saw Marcus and Dr. Chen arguing in the galley. He stayed in the corridor listening. We can't afford this, Dr. Chen said. The medical supplies alone cost more than our last 2 jobs combined. I know, Marcus said quietly. We have bills. The ship needs repairs. The crew needs to get paid. I know, Sarah. Then why? Because they're kids. Because no one else will help them. Because it's the right thing to do. A pause. Then Dr. Chen sighed. You know what other species say about us? That humans are too emotional. That we can't separate logic from feeling. That we'll adopt anything with a face. Marcus laughed, but it wasn't a happy sound. Yeah, I've heard that. Usually right before they ask us to rescue them from something. Kira thought about that conversation for hours. Marcus was spending money he didn't have, putting his crew at risk, all for 4 dragon orphans. It made no sense. Dragons operated on benefit and cost. You didn't spend resources unless you got something back. What did Marcus get from this? Nothing, less than nothing. He got the scorn of other species, the anger of the dragon elders, and 4 hungry mouths to feed. So why? On the 5th day, Kirith asked him. They were in the ship's small common room. Marcus was reading something on a datapad. Kirith sat across from him, gathering courage. Why are you doing this? Kirith asked. Marcus looked up. Doing what? Helping us. You gain nothing. You lose money, status, time. Other species mock you. Dragons will never forgive you. Why do it? Marcus set down the datapad. He was quiet for a long moment, those strange blue eyes thoughtful. You want the truth? Marcus asked. Yes. Because I can't not do it. Marcus leaned forward. Humans. We're pack animals, Kirith. Back on Earth, we evolved in groups. Family groups, tribe groups. We survived because we took care of each other. A human alone dies fast. A human in a group can survive anything. But we're not human, Kirith said. We're not your pack. That's the thing about humans, Marcus said with a small smile. We're not very good at limiting our pack. We see something that needs help, our brain says that's pack. Doesn't matter if it's human, alien, or... He gestured at Kirith. Dragon, that's a weakness. Other species will exploit it. Maybe, probably. But it's also why humans are still alive. Earth is a death world, Kirith. Everything there tried to kill us. Predators bigger and stronger. Diseases, ice ages, droughts. We should have died out thousands of times. We survived because we helped each other. Because we didn't leave our sick behind. Because we shared food even when it was scarce. Kirith thought about dragon society. The strong survived. The weak were left behind. It was efficient, logical. But it also meant 4 orphan children had to starve because of their parents' supposed shame. Does it hurt? Kirith asked quietly. Being so soft? Marcus laughed, and this time it was genuine. Soft? Kid? Humans fought our way to the top of the food chain on a planet that was actively trying to kill us. We survived ice ages with just fire and fur. We crossed oceans in wooden boats. We went to space in metal cans with primitive rockets. We're not soft. We're stubborn and maybe a little crazy, but not soft. But you care. Caring is weakness, no, Marcus said firmly. Caring is strength. It's the hardest thing in the galaxy. It's easier to not care. Easier to walk past someone suffering. Easier to say, not my problem, caring, helping. That takes real strength, Kirith wanted to argue. But he thought about Marcus standing between him and Drakmar. A small human facing a massive adult dragon. That took strength. Crazy, stupid strength, but strength nonetheless. Over the next weeks, Kirith watched the humans more carefully. He saw patterns. One of the crew, a man named Jackson, spent an hour every day video calling his mother on Earth, just talking. About nothing important. Kirith asked him why once. Because she's old and lonely, Jackson said. Because hearing my voice makes her happy. That's reason enough. Dr. Chen had a collection of old Earth books. Kirith saw her reading one called The Giving Tree. He asked about it. It's a children's story, she explained. About a tree that gives everything to a boy it loves. Some people think it's about the danger of giving too much, but I think it's about how love means giving freely, without expecting return. That's stupid, Kirith said, but he didn't mean it as harshly as it sounded. Dr. Chen just smiled. Maybe, but it's our kind of stupid. Marcus himself was the most confusing. He worked constantly, taking dangerous salvage jobs to pay for supplies. He went without sleep to make sure the ship ran smoothly. He gave his own food rations to make sure there was enough for the hatchlings. You're hurting yourself to help us, Kirith said one night, finding Marcus in the engine room at 2 a.m. I'm fine, Marcus said, not looking up from his repairs. You're exhausted. You haven't slept in 2 days. Dr. Chen says you're losing weight. I said I'm fine. Why do you do this? Marcus finally stopped working. He sat back oil-stained and tired. You want to know why I really do this?
Yes. I had a daughter, Emma. She got sick when she was 12.
Rare disease. By the time the doctors figured out what it was too late. I had money. I had resources. I had everything except time. His voice cracked slightly. I watched her waste away for 6 months. I couldn't save her. I couldn't help. I just watched her die. Kirith felt something twist in his chest. Pain for this human's pain. When I saw you four in that alley, Marcus continued, I saw Emma. I saw kids who needed help. And this time I could do something. This time I could save them. He looked at Kirith. Maybe it's selfish. Maybe I'm doing this more for me than for you, but I can't watch kids suffer and do nothing. I can't. Not again. It's not selfish, Kirith said quietly. It's kind. Kindness and selfishness can look a lot alike sometimes. They sat in silence for a while. Then Kirith asked, Did your daughter have blue eyes? Like you? Yeah, Marcus said, smiling sadly. Bright blue. Like Earth sky. I think she would be proud of you. Marcus's eyes got shiny. Humans cried easily, Kirith had learned. Thanks, kid. 2 months passed. The hatchlings grew stronger. Their scales regained their shine. Mira's wings started developing properly again. They ate regular meals. They slept in safe beds. They laughed sometimes, something Kirith thought they'd forgotten how to do. But Kirith struggled with one thing. Dragon pride. He wanted to thank Marcus properly. He wanted to show gratitude. But every time he tried, the words stuck in his throat. Dragons didn't bow to other species. Dragons didn't show weakness. Then the distress call came. Marcus was on the bridge when the emergency signal lit up. Kirith was nearby learning the ship's systems. Mining Station Theta 7 reporting cave-in. Multiple casualties. Requesting immediate assistance. Dr. Chen looked at the readings. That's 2 hours away at full burn. We have a cargo run scheduled. Cancel it, Marcus said immediately. Plot course for Theta 7. Marcus, that cargo run pays 3,000 credits. We need that money. There are people dying. Money can wait. That was when Kirith understood. Really understood. Humans helped not because it benefited them. They helped because not helping was impossible for them. It was built into who they were. I want to help, Kirith said suddenly. Everyone looked at him. Kid, this is dangerous, Marcus said. I know, but you saved us. Let us help save others. Syra appeared in the doorway. We all want to help. Vex and Mira came running, drawn by the commotion. Please, Mira said. Her purple scales were bright again, her eyes clear. We're strong now. Let us help. Marcus looked at each of them. Then at Dr. Chen, she shrugged. They're right. They're strong enough now. And honestly, we could use the help. Dragons can do things we can't. Marcus nodded slowly. Okay, but you follow my orders exactly. No heroics. Safety first. Understood? Understood, Kirith said. As the ship jumped to faster-than-light speed, racing toward the disaster, Kirith felt something he hadn't felt since his parents died. Purpose. Maybe pride wasn't about being better than others. Maybe it was about being better than you were yesterday. About helping when you could. About paying forward the kindness you received. Maybe his father's lesson wasn't just about survival. Maybe it was about becoming something more than what Dragon Society expected. He looked at Marcus, who was already planning the rescue operation. Those blue eyes were focused, determined. Ready to risk everything to save strangers. Kirith wanted to be like that. Not human, but maybe something new. Something better. A dragon who understood that real strength meant caring. That real pride meant helping others find theirs. Mining Station Theta 7 was dying when they arrived. Half the structure had collapsed into the asteroid it was built on. Emergency lights flickered. Air was venting from multiple breaches. The distress call was on repeat, automated and desperate. 47 life signs, Dr. Chen reported from the sensors. They're in the lower sections, trapped. Marcus was already in his rescue gear. The crew moved with practiced efficiency, checking equipment, planning approach vectors. Kirith watched and learned. Dragons, listen up, Marcus said, looking at the 4 hatchlings. Your natural abilities are perfect for this. Kirith, you and Vex can handle high heat. You'll help cut through collapse supports. Sarah, you're fast and small. You'll be our scout, finding survivors in tight spaces. Mira, you stay with Dr. Chen on the ship. Monitor communications. But I want to help, Mira protested. You are helping, Marcus said gently. Someone needs to coordinate. That's the most important job. Mira nodded, understanding. Not every help looked like heroics. Sometimes it was staying behind and keeping everyone connected. The wayward son docked with what was left of Theta 7. Marcus, Dr. Chen, Jackson, and the two older dragon siblings entered through the emergency airlock. The station was a mess. Twisted metal, sparking wires, the smell of burning insulation. Split into teams, Marcus ordered. Stay on comms. Check in every 5 minutes. Don't be heroes. If it's too dangerous, we back out. They moved through the wreckage. Kyrith had never done anything like this before. His dragon training had been about combat, about honor duels, about traditional skills. Not about rescuing people, not about working with others toward a common goal. I've got life signs this way, Syra called. She was ahead, her smaller frame letting her slip through gaps. Sounds like someone crying. They found a Zentari family trapped in a collapsed room. The father was injured, a support beam across his legs. The mother held two small children trying to keep them calm. We're here to help, Marcus said, kneeling beside them. We'll get you out. The father looked at him with 3 frightened eyes. The humans came. Of course humans came. There was wonder in his voice, like he had expected it but still couldn't quite believe it. Marcus and Jackson worked on lifting the beam. But it was too heavy even for humans with their tools. Marcus looked at Kyrith. Think you can burn through this without hurting anyone? Kyrith studied the beam. It was metal but not too thick. He could do it. Yes. Then light it up, kid. Kyrith breathed fire, controlled and precise, something his mother had taught him years ago. The metal glowed orange, then white, then separated. Jackson and Marcus pulled it away. The family was free. Thank you, the Zentari father whispered as Dr. Chen treated his legs. Thank you, they found more survivors. A group of Krell miners trapped in an elevator shaft. Sira flew down and guided them to safety. A human engineer pinned under debris. Vex used his dragon strength to lift the wreckage while Marcus pulled the man free. Each rescue taught Kyrith something. Teamwork, trust. The way different species' abilities complemented each other. Humans were smart and resourceful. Dragons were strong and could handle extreme conditions. Together they could do things neither could alone. Kyrith, Mira's voice came through his comm. There's a section collapsing in Corridor C. 3 life signs, but the structure won't hold much longer. We're on it, Kyrith said. He and Marcus ran toward the corridor. Behind them he heard Jackson say something about humans always running toward danger instead of away from it. Corridor C was a nightmare. The walls were cracking. Gravity was failing in sections. They found 3 workers clinging to a railing, the floor beneath them already gone. Below was a drop into the asteroid's interior. We need a rope, one of them shouted. Marcus was already securing a line. But there wasn't enough time. The railing was tearing from the wall. Seconds maybe, Kyrith, Marcus said calmly. Can you fly? I'm still learning. I'm not very good. Can you fly well enough to catch someone? Kyrith looked at the terrified workers. At the failing railing, at Marcus's blue eyes, trusting him completely. Yes, Kyrith said. He jumped. His wings spread. They were still growing, still weak, but they caught air. He glided down as the railing tore free. The workers fell. Kyrith grabbed one, his claws catching fabric. The worker screamed but held on. Kyrith's wings burned with effort, but he made it to a stable platform. Marcus caught another worker with the rope. Syra, appearing from nowhere, grabbed the third. Everyone was safe. Nice flying, Marcus said, grinning. I almost dropped him, Kyrith panted, but you didn't. That's what matters. They evacuated all 47 survivors. Every single one. No casualties. By the time they finished, Kyrith's wings ached. His scales were scorched and he was exhausted. But he felt something he'd never felt before. Pride. Real pride. Not the empty dragon pride of being better than others, but pride in doing something meaningful. In helping. In being part of something bigger than himself. The survivors gathered on the wayward sun. They looked at Marcus and his crew with gratitude. They looked at the 4 young dragons with surprise. Dragons helping in a rescue? An old Krell miner said. Never thought I'd see the day. They're good kids, Marcus said simply. Brave kids. Word spread fast across the sector. Video of the rescue went viral on the networks. 4 dragon hatchlings working with a human crew to save lives. Working with, not for, as equals. 3 days later, a summons came. The Galactic Arbiter Council wanted to see them. Marcus and the 4 dragons traveled to the council station. Elder Drakmar was there, along with several other dragon leaders. They looked furious, but there were also representatives from dozens of other species. The chamber was packed. "This is unprecedented," the lead arbiter, an ancient wise one called Shakari, said. "Dragon hatchlings living with humans. Working with humans. We must determine if this is acceptable." Drakmar spoke first. "It is not. These hatchlings are stained by failure. They abandoned dragon ways. They should be returned to us for proper education." "Proper education?" Marcus's voice was hard. "You mean the education that says orphaned children should starve to protect some ancient honor code? You do not understand dragon culture, human. Maybe I don't. But I understand that those 4 kids almost died because of your culture. I understand that they're thriving now. I understand that they just helped save 47 lives. What's your culture done for them lately?" The chamber erupted in arguments. Species taking sides. It was chaos. Then Kirith stepped forward. "May I speak?" Shakari nodded. "The hatchling may address the council." Kirith's legs shook, but he stood tall. "I am Kirith I was of House Skarseth. My parents died 3 months ago. Dragon Society abandoned us. They said we carried the stain of failure. They said we should die with honor rather than live with shame." He looked at Drakmar. "I tried to be a good dragon. I tried to uphold our ways. But our ways were killing my siblings. Mira was dying. Her scales were falling off. She would have been crippled for life. And Dragon Honor said I should let that happen." Kirith turned to Marcus. "Then I met a human who didn't care about honor codes or ancient traditions. He cared that children were starving. He cared that we needed help. He gave us food, shelter, medicine. He asked nothing in return. He just helped." Tears were running down Kirith's face now. He didn't care. Humans are called weak for caring. They're mocked for their empathy. But I've seen more strength in Marcus Webb's kindness than in all of Dragon Society's honor. He taught me that real strength means helping others. That real pride means being proud of who you are, not what species you are. Syra stepped up beside him, then Vex, then little Mira, her purple scales now bright and healthy. "We don't want to go back," Syra said. "We choose the human way," Vex added. "We choose to be kind," Mira finished. The chamber was silent. Then the Zentari father they had rescued stood. "My family is alive because of these children and this human. They showed us what cooperation looks like." Another survivor stood. Then another. 47 beings all alive because of Marcus's crew and 4 dragon hatchlings. Finally, a dragon in the gallery stood. A female with silver scales. "I am Elder Vistara. I speak against the traditional council." Gasps rippled through the chamber. "I have watched my people turn away orphans for 500 years. I have watched our numbers dwindle because we value pride over life. These hatchlings have shown us something new. Perhaps it is time we learned from species we considered lesser." Drakmar looked betrayed. "You would side with humans over your own kind?" "I side with children," Vistara said quietly. "Something we stopped doing long ago." More dragons stood. Not many, but enough. Young ones, mostly. Dragons who had watched the rescue footage and seen something different. Something possible. Shakari raised her hand for silence. "This council recognizes that traditions must sometimes evolve. We rule that cross-species fostering is permitted. That those who wish to learn new ways may do so without shame. That children should not pay for their parents' failures. This is outrageous." Drakmar roared. "This is progress," Shakari said firmly. "The decision is final." Outside the council chamber, Kirith stood with his siblings and looked up at Marcus. "What happens now?" "Now?" Marcus smiled. "Now we go home. We've got a ship to run and a galaxy to explore. Together." "Together," Kirith repeated. He liked that word.